Hey YouTube, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. That's quite a special video for me and I'm really excited. In this video I will show you the best tiny brushed ESC you can buy for a microcrawler or a micro truck. At this state, the world's best. Yes, I repeat this. This is the world's best tiny brushed ESC you can actually buy for your micro truck now in early February 2022. There may be similar ESCs for brushed motors in larger size or for larger trucks out there, but not in this size. You can quote me on this. This is the brand new ASX24-Crawler from Modellbauregler.de from Germany. If you don't want to hear me talking and explaining in detail forever, as always I talk a lot and only want to see the performance of this new ESC, here's the timestamp to the drive tests and the setup. The brand new ASX24-Crawler from Modellbauregler.de from Germany, it's awesome. There will be two versions of this ESC, a plug and play for the SCX24 V1, so the old electronics, and one without plugs so that you can fit those plugs you want and need for your micro truck easily to it. Those are pre-production models. I got those for free from the German company without plugs. I crimped and soldered the JST plugs to this ESC here. I did already get earlier pre-production models, those here, of this ESC for testing some time ago, and initially they should have a different name, as you see too, but I wasn't happy with their settings, and so they changed some parameters in the software, and here it is now, the final version. This is what you will get. This is the version that will be released. Only wires and plugs may be different. Wires and maybe JST PH 2-pin plugs, and the problem with parts availability, they are the reason why the release of this ESC is quite a bit delayed. I got those ESCs for free. However, in this video I will tell you my honest opinion of this ESC. I will not hide anything, nothing good and nothing bad. There are too many review videos out there on YouTube hiding negative aspects of new products, also of ESCs. Remember the first videos about those, or the first videos about those, for example. I will not do this. I will tell and show you everything I know in this video. Last year I made a couple of videos about the awesome AS12-6RW and the AS12-15 ESCs, and I highly recommended those, and I still highly recommend those. That's an AS12-15 too. And I did not get those for free. I paid for every of my Modellbauregler.de ESC, the normal price and the normal shipping costs so far. So initially I made an order of 2 AS12-6 for testing, and then I ordered 2 times a 6-pack more, and I ordered 4 AS12-15. So all in all I bought 14 of the small AS12-6RW and 4 AS12-15 and some more stuff from them, and I paid for each product the absolute normal price, and I didn't get anything for free or cheaper. No affiliation with this company at that time, and the excitement for those ESCs was my true opinion, and it's still here my true opinion, and I still can highly recommend those here. Of course, I will give a link in the description to their website, and when finally available also to the ESX24-Crawler ESC. However, you will not support my channel when buying from them. I will show you the ASX24-Crawler ESC in this video, and I highly recommend to buy it because I think it's absolutely fantastic, awesome. I do not get nothing if you buy from them, and I do not want anything. I do this because actually I'm absolutely excited about those tinkering with microcrawler stuff. I love testing different products and doing measurements and comparisons. And I do all this because it's my hobby and not because I want to earn money on YouTube. Didn't even monetize my channel. So for me personally, it's absolutely unimportant if you buy such an ESC or not. However, if you want the best brushed microcrawler ESC you can get to date, buy it. You will love it. All this started about 1 year ago when I made my video Best ESCs for Microcrawlers. And by the way, this was before the first FuryTech ESCs were released. In this video I showed the awesome AS12-6RW and the AS12-15 ESCs from Modellbauregler.de. Since then, quite a bunch of people contacted me via YouTube, mail, or forums and asked how to buy those ESCs. It's so difficult, German website, shipping, etc. Guys, if you go to their website, it is in German, okay, but you can change language. On the top right, you will find the flags and you can change easily to English and even Spanish. And if your country is not yet showing up on the shipping list, simply write an email to them and then they will include your country to the shipping list. As far as I understood, there are only those countries in the shipping list so far which they did already have customers from. Modellbauregler.de is a tiny company, 1 person full plus 4 persons part-time, so you should pardon if not everything is super professional and perfect on their website. And so what's up now with the old ESCs that are recommended so often? The AS12-6RW and the AS12-15, they are still awesome, but they are no car or truck ESCs. Those ESCs have been made for boats and construction models, so they are already quite old. The super popular AS12-15 is sold for more than 10 years now, unchanged, and the AS12-6 is mostly used to control small motors in construction vehicles, in construction machines and things like this. They are not plug and play for micro trucks or the SCX24, and many of you had problems because the AS12-6 doesn't have a BSC and wires here are much too long and thick for such tiny models, and you had to put your own plugs to the ESCs. And since I was so excited about those ESCs, I wrote a message to one of my orders at Modellbauregler.de last year, how awesome their ESCs work with microcrawlers and that many people do have problems with wire and plug management and adding their own BSC, and that it would be awesome if they could make a tiny ESC ready for micro trucks. And Modellbauregler.de responded that they see already that they do have quite a bunch of new customers now from foreign countries and also from Germany, which is probably due to my micro ESC video. And they told me that they did already have a new, even better software in a new ESC with even finer resolution. The name of this ESC is AS1280, and they will think about a plug and play ESC for the SCX24. But honestly, they were not very excited because the microcrawler toy truck crowd is a totally different type of customer than their usual customers who build expensive construction vehicles and super expensive race boats. However, some months later they wrote to me that they will do it, but that this time the worldwide chip shortage delayed the development. And of course I told them what the big part of the microcrawler crowd wants, a more or less plug and play ESC with BEC, with LiPoGuard, and with shorter and thinner wires, less forward reverse delay, and for the SCX24 with JST-PH plugs. And Micha, the owner of the company, did it. And early this year I got an email that he had some test ESCs ready and wants them to send to me with even better software, finer resolution with BC, LiPoGuard, and so on. So I got those ones and I tested those, recommended some changes, and they did it. And now I got those ones. which I really think work awesome. And this is now the version that will finally be released. So that's the story. And here it is now, the new ASX24-Crawler ESC. This ESC is truly made in Germany. Software developed in Germany, chips programmed in Germany, even the PCBs, the printed circuit boards, green stuff here, is made or are made in Germany. And soldering work is also done in-house in Germany, no outsourcing. But of course, SMD components and plugs are from Far East, but the ESC is truly made in Germany. It's tiny, only 20 by 25 by around 5.5 millimeter. It's super light. Weight is mainly the wires, and depending on wires and plugs, it's 8 ampere constant rating and way more peak. So you can also use the ASX24 without any concerns in your Panda Hobby 1 to 18 trucks, no problem, in the Tetra 1 to 18. And the ESC does have a 2 ampere PEC included, is 2 and 3S LiPo capable, also nickel metal hydride and nickel cadmium capable. It has overheat protection and it has battery protection. That's what many of you wanted. For LiPos it's 3.3 volts per cell. And it does again have 18 kilohertz PWM frequency, so it's absolutely totally silent. And this ESC does have a real and true resolution of 10 bits, what are 1024 steps. What is even significantly higher than the already awesome AS12.6 and AS12.15, which were already way better in this than everything else around in the brushed micro ESC market. And the ESC is waterproof. It's conformal coated with plastic 70 Schutzlack from Contact Chemie. That's a German company, and that's probably the best stuff you can get here. All the race boat guys with their super expensive equipment use plastic 70 for waterproofing their electronics, and I happen to have this stuff here too for waterproofing electronics. And by the way, also the AS12.6 and the AS12.15 are waterproof. You can even see the conformal coating here on the boards. I may have told this wrong in my last videos, not sure. I asked Modellbauregler.de now, and they told me that the ESCs are of course waterproof. Those are ESCs for boats, and of course they have to be waterproof, nothing special for them. And I know many of you will ask me now if the new ASX24-Crawler does have a drag brake. Yes, as the AS12s, it has a kind of drag brake, but not a 100% crawler drag brake with abrupt stop, and of course no active drag brake. But a drag brake that works a bit delayed, so that there is no abrupt stop. This is the reason why I could stop and start in the SCX24 Betty, declining a super steep incline in an angle near to tipping over, as I showed you in this short sequence in the 30 seconds teaser video I uploaded some days ago, and I will show this in detail later. The ASX24-Crawler and the other ESCs from Modellbauregler.de do have a 100% drag brake, but this is deployed depending on speed. The software calculates the begin. If going slowly, the begin will be immediately and abrupt, and if going fast, the start will be a tiny bit delayed to make smooth stops possible. And this also protects the motor and drastically increases the lifetime of the motor. And what is now the advantage of the ASX24-Crawler ESC to the AS12.6 and the AS12.15? The ASX24 it's made for microcrawlers, the others not. So it's plug and play. You have everything you need in the ASX24, a 2 ampere PEC, which is much stronger, and better than the BSC of the old AS1215, LiPo protection, overheat protection, and wires of appropriate size, and you have faster forward reverse response and even better speed control compared to the AS12s. This is hard to believe because AS12.6 and AS12.15 do already have absolutely fantastic throttle response, but if you compare the new ASX24 directly side to side with the AS12 ESCs, even with a normal Axial SCX24 cheap stock radio, you can really feel it a little bit. The ASX24 is even a little bit better, but this even better speed modulation is not the reason to buy the ESX24. The reason is that it's made for such tiny crawlers. It's plug and play, no messing around with wiring and BSC if you do not want to do this. And of course, I will not change my AS12.6 and AS12.15 ESCs in all my microcrawlers to the new ASX24. Those work still fantastic. My personal order of the best ESCs for brushed microcrawlers related to driving performance is actually 1 year after my best ESC for microcrawlers video. That's the new SCX24 V2 stock ESC. That's in here. You see the blue board. It's really very, very good. Still a tiny little bit of high-pitched noise, but really good low speed and throttle control. But I still think, and I showed this to you in my recently published video, SCX24 old electronics versus new V2 electronics, that the Furitech ESCs, my lizards, are still a little bit better than the SCX24 V2 ESC. That's my opinion. I tested it, I compared it, and the Furitechs are totally silent. And the new SCX24 ESC still does make a little bit of noise. The Modellbauregler, the ES12-6RW and the AS1215, those two do have very, very similar software, and they perform nearly equal, and their throttle response and their performance is clearly better than the performance of the Lizard in brushed setups, in forward direction, and even much more in reverse direction. I showed this to you in several videos in detail. And now there is the new ASX24-Crawler ESC. Again, even a little bit better. My number one in the line now in February 2022. The reasons for the delay of the release of the first batch of this new ASX24-Crawler ESC are availability of plugs and wires. The first batch shall be of the version plug and play for the SCX24 V1 and the version without plugs later. And as you all know, Axial does use the same plugs for motor and battery, totally stupid in my opinion. JST PH 2.0 2-pin plugs, same plugs and wires for battery and motor. And Modellbauregler.de does not want to release those ESCs with red and black wires for motor and battery. It was quite difficult anyway to convince them to release an ESC with the same plug type for motor and battery, because this is super dangerous. If you accidentally plug your battery to the motor port of your SCX24 stock electronics, so no matter if V1 or the new V2, you will destroy the ESC. Dead, gone. It is the same with every ESC. There was no way to protect the ASX24 against this in any way. So if you happen to plug the battery into the motor port, the ESC is gone, destroyed, no way. It's the same with the Furitech ESCs. I personally destroyed a Furitech Lizard when I changed the plugs. I changed the motor plug to a 2-pin JST PH to run it brushed, and then sometime later I didn't think anymore, didn't take care enough, and plugged the battery into the motor port. This ESC is gone. But of course, that's not the fault of Furitech. Of course, this was my personal mistake. However, it is in some way also the fault of Axial. There is no other truck out there that uses the same type of plug for motor and battery, and there are also no other trucks out there before the SCX24 that uses JST-PH 2-pin plugs for 2 S-LiPos. Those JST-PH 2 pins were before exclusively used for 1 S-LiPos, and for example in the brush blade MCPX helis, which made those super popular, and nowadays you find them in many microdrone 1S LiPos. So now let's put the ASX24-Crawler into a stock body, and all the tests I will make now and show you in all the trucks with the deadbolt, with the new Jeep and with my Chevy are in absolutely stock SCX24s. So all of those do also have the stock motor inside and not an upgrade motor. You know that you can improve the performance greatly by using an upgrade motor. That's black sticky tape I use always if I use the stock electronics of the SCX24 with an external ESC, because you know it's always red blinking, it's really bright red light, and I really don't like this. Of course, if you would use what do I have here? Yeah, I do have a barrage motor. This will improve the performance compared to the stock motor, of course, or the awesome Mo4C torque beast I do have in this truck here will highly improve the performance. But all you will see now is in all the trucks here with SCX24 stock motors. So it's super easy to mount the ESC as always. Plug off motor and battery, that's the dangerous part. And then plug the servo wire into the channel 2. White or yellow plug on the top. Of course, wire management could be better than here. In the bed it's better to run the wire below this post, and then simply plug the motor into the motor port, blue and yellow, and then the battery into the battery port. So that's the dangerous part. You can see it here. They look the same, they are the same, and they are really difficult to distinguish. So that's the motor port, and that's the battery port. For the first drive, you can simply plug and play and drive it. Switch on the radio first, as always. Always radio first, first rule. And now plug the red and black to red and black. And gone. That's it. You do have some signals here. You see the blue LED now on. This means the ESC is in LiPo mode. This means it will cut off at 3.3 volts per cell. So it works on 2 and on 3S. It will dramatically reduce the power to about 25% only at 3.3 volts per cell, and the truck will only go, and the truck will not run smooth anymore. It's extremely stuttering, so you see immediately the LiPo is down and you have to change and charge the LiPo, but you could still drive some meters if you want to get back. If you wanted to switch to nickel metal hydride mode or nickel cadmium mode, here's the program button. Simply press it for about 3 seconds. You see, you heard the beeps, and now we have only green lights, and now it's in nickel metal hydride mode. But we want LiPo mode. What's always, before you made anything of calibration or anything, you will see the green light, that's okay, and the blue light, that's LiPo mode. And I hope I can show this to you here. It runs super smooth, but if you give full power, the LED will switch to red in forward and in reverse. Red means you are on 100% throttle, and if you're not on 100%, the green light will be off, and full power, red light, green light, everything's okay, you are in neutral mode. That's it, more or less. And if you want to calibrate your ESC to your radio, that's also easy. Radio is on, plug off the battery, plug on battery, and within 3 seconds press the program button shortly and you see the red light. And now give full throttle, green light will show up, full throttle reverse, a beep, center position, 2 beeps, everything saved, green light. And now the ESC is calibrated to your radio. And everything works fine. You can also program, if you want, to 50% reverse throttle. Some people like this. Now we have forward and reverse the same speed. If you would like to do this, same procedure, plug off the battery, radio on, plug the battery on, press the button, within 3 seconds, red light. Now go to full throttle, green light, full throttle reverse, green light off and a beep, and then go not to neutral but to full throttle again, and then to central position, green light, everything saved. And now we have only 50% reverse throttle. So you see full throttle forward, but only, I hope you can hear it, 50% throttle in reverse. But of course we don't want to do this. I will calibrate it for the last time now. Come on, red light, full throttle, green light, 100% reverse, beep, center, 2 beeps, green light, off, on, calibrated. Green light, everything's okay, red light 100%. And now you can see already the super fine resolution. And first I will place the ESC. It's so small you can easily place it here with sticky tape on the electronic box, but in my opinion the best place is below the original electronics tray, as I did it. Where did I do it? Here. You see the ESC here with the black shrink tube. That's an AS1215, perfect position also for weight. And I don't stick it here to the back now, I will put it to the bottom, therefore I have to remove the tray and simply use 3M tape. I will do this now and then we will run it. And here it is now. Perfect ESC position here on the bottom of the electronic tray. Of course I would use black shrink tube or black tape in a final version so that you won't see the ESC. Wiring easy, perfect. And now we come to a point that some of you maybe will see as disadvantage of this new ASX24. It does not have an on-off switch. So it doesn't have those simple switches as you know from the cheap ESCs from the Basher ESCs, the tiny ones, those on-off switches. I asked them, and Modellbauregel.de told me no, they don't want to install such a switch because that's not good, and people forget then to plug off the battery, and this will drain battery and stuff like this. So for some of you this may be a disadvantage, I don't know. I'm used to plug on off batteries anyway, and I highly prefer no switch to a switch as it is here in the FuryTech. This tiny switch you can't really get to, and then you wouldn't be able to mount the ESC on such an hidden position. But in the FuryTech ESC you can deactivate the switch so that you also switch on and off the ESC and the electronics only by plugging on and off the battery. That's not very useful, I guess. They have in their new models now better on-off switches. So switching the truck on-off works by plugging in the battery. Now it's initialized. Body pin, and now I will show you how it drives, and I will compare it to the Chevy, the SCX24 Chevy here, which does have a AS612 ESC from Modellbauregel.de inside, and a stock deadbolt here with stock electronics and a stock Jeep, a SCX24 Jeep with the awesome new electronics, and all those to have the same motor and their stock, the same tiny SCX24 stock motor. Of course, if you would upgrade the motor, this would extremely improve the performance again. And check how, I hope you can see my index finger, how slow it can drive. Unbelievable. And in both directions. Only a tiny little bit, come on. Of course, it can also bash, but that's already, in my opinion, better than in the awesome AS12-6 I love so much. Check this one out. The best before the ASX24 in my opinion. You can also drive super slow and smooth, but it's hard to believe the Betty with the new with the new ASX24 is even smoother. This was not good, this was my finger. But also the new V2 electronics of the SCX24, they are really good. Check this, you hear the noise, but you can drive very slow, but not as smooth and slow as with the AS12-6 and not with the new ASX24, and the old electronics were still quite good compared to most other models. Here that's the old SCX24. You hear the noise and you see that's probably the slowest I can drive. And what's so super nice with this new ESC is it keeps the power. It's possible to climb steps really slow. I hope I can show this to you now here in front of the camera. My index finger on the right side. Let's do it that way. Check my finger. How slow I can go. And that's even better than the old one, the AS12-6RW. have to find the right radio here. That's awesome too. But a little bit less awesome. And also the new electronics of the Jeep are awesome. But again, a little bit less awesome. You hear the high-pitched noise? But check this. It can climb super slow, not as smooth as the others, but absolutely fantastic compared to the V1 electronics of the SCX24. And I heard some reviewers of the new Jeep. They said it's maybe a little bit better. No. In my opinion and in my experience, this new V2 electronic is way better than the old one. Check this out. That's the old one. So not only the noise, but so that's good for a ready-to-run micro truck. The SCX24 V1, but the V2 version, it's clearly better. But we want to see the new ASX24-Crawler ESC, and that's absolutely top of the notch, and it's the same in reverse. So, and it does also have punch, of course, but here I show you the next disadvantage, if you want to call it that way, compared to a stock SCX24 in the ASX. Now in the AS12.6 and AS12.15, one point of complaint was, I have to find the right radio, that directly full forward to reverse. Have to do it in front of the camera. You see, there's a little bit of delay, only if you go 100%. A tiny little bit of delay, and in the new ASX24, this is much better. This was also the point I complained in the first version they sent me. In those ones, because it had a lot of delay when going from 100% reverse to 100% forward. So they changed this now to the maximum that is possible with still absolutely awesome smooth throttle control. Those were, you see, but that's only if you go from 100% to 100%. You shouldn't do this anyway, because that's not good for the motor. In the AS12.6 and AS12.15, I recommend it so much. This was not a bug, this was a feature. That's intentionally not to damage expensive motors in the models. And in the new ASX24, it was even a little bit smoother to run those, but there was a lot of delay when going from forward to reverse. And if you go from 100% reverse to 100% forward, there is still a tiny little bit of delay. So if I don't go 100%, everything's fine. But if you do have a digital finger, we call it, and only use full forward, full reverse, you will probably love the old electronics more, because check this out. But by the way, I hope you know that's the reason why many stock motors fade out and don't work anymore so soon, because there seem to be a lot of digital drivers out there who only know full. That's absolutely bad for the motor. But if you wanna go for wheelies or whatever, that's probably the way to go with the SCX24 stock motors. That's the same in the Jeep with the V2 electronics. You see, it jumps. In that, the SCX24 V2 electronic is better than the new ASX24-Crawler ESC. But there is no way to change this. If you could change the software to do this too, but this would highly affect the driving performance, the smoothness. So you can't have both super nice driving ability and super nice throttle response and an ESC that makes wheelies. But if you put a stronger motor in your SCX24, you will make your wheelie anyway. And if you don't go to 100%, you see I do not go to 100% now, it changes direction immediately. So maybe some people should learn not to drive only digital. Hold. In the ESX24-Crawler ESC and other ESCs from Modellbauregler.de, there is a genius software which calculates the power the motor will receive when making a pole change. So a change from forward to reverse or reverse to forward direction, and the time till the motor gets the power, what's called commutation delay. If the motor is going very slow in reverse, it will directly jump to forward because there is no danger of damaging the motor. But the faster the motor is going in one direction, the longer this commutation delay will be when jumping directly to the other drive direction when changing poles. This feature protects the motor and highly increases the motor lifetime. That's a feature, not a bug. And the actual settings are the maximum that is possible if you want still this fantastic and super smooth throttle response. Even smaller commutation delay would affect the throttle resolution negatively. So this was the second disadvantage of the new ASX24 ESC. I promised you to show everything. And if you want, maybe that's a disadvantage for you. It's for sure not a disadvantage in crawling, because if you are crawling and you make a wheelie, your truck will normally tip over. And I wanted to show you drag brake. So let's go to an incline near from tipping over. What's that? What should be 52, 53? And check my index finger. You can start super smooth. Even on this super steep incline, it's nearly tipping over. You can stop and you see it stops. I can go backwards and stop. And I can go backwards and stop. And I can start super smooth and stop every time. It's slipping a little bit. Now that wheels are not turning. And it's unbelievable how nice it is to control on an incline. In reverse and in forward direction. But also in the new Jeep, that's quite nice. In the new V2 electronics, that's also quite nice to control. What's quite funny, the Jeep can by far not climb as steep inclines as the Betty, but it can descend much steeper inclines. You see, it's also nice to control. But if you pulse it, of course you can always do it, but it will not climb as smooth. The ASX12, however, so my old best ESC, it can. I want to show you my index finger if possible. So this is much nicer control than with the Jeep. And believe me or not, I hope you can see this on camera, because it's hard to show, but it's nice to feel. It's the new ASX24 It's even better. You can go slower, stop, go back, stop, stop. I stop throttle. So that's the drag brake of the ASX24, and the same in the AS12 and 15 and in the AS12-6. It is a 100% drag brake, shortcut of motor poles, but it is not an abrupt begin. But similar to the change in forward and reverse direction, the software will calculate the start of drag brake. When going slower, drag brake will start immediately. When going faster, with a little more of delay, to make super smooth stops possible. And it's really hard to believe this is really smoother and better to control than the AS12-6, my absolutely favorite so far. It climbs, it drives super nice. No difference between forward and reverse, but the new ASX24, it's even nicer to control. And the V2 electronics of the SCX24s it's awesome, but Furytech and Modellbauregel DE ESCs are still better. So that's my hill of branch, an obstacle I made last summer, and on the steep side this is super difficult. Most trucks are not able to climb this side, but all the SCX24s are able to climb it more or less well in stock form. All my SCX24s, but the Jeep, it's quite strange. The Jeep is not able to climb it. I tried about, I will show it to you later, 100 times, and I could successfully climb it only one time. But on the other hand, the Jeep, my Wrangler, is the best on river stones. And that's quite a difficult obstacle. The first problem you will see here, the first problem is to get up here, and then all of them struggle to get up here. And with the Betty, it's doable even in stock form, but not easy. And with this new ASX24-Crawler ESC, it's even better possible. You can go so smooth. Come on, Betty, why do you do this now? And here, that's the first problem. So if you come to this position, then it's easy. Of course, with better tires, it will be easier. Here it's super easy. Most can do this. And here's the problem again. You won't be able to do this only by powering. You have to go back a little bit. This was, I want to show you, go only a little bit back. Come on. I can go up and down here, but so, and now it has done it. And it's not a big problem for the Betty. It's a way bigger, larger problem in stock form, but Betty is able to do it. You see, this was really nice. That's quite a slippery surface here. Normally I do it on a rubber mat, and here you can go slow, and here it will stop, and you have that super nice control, and then go. And now I will show you the deadbolt, which can do it too in stock form. Absolutely stock deadbolt. This deadbolt is quite a nice climber. problem is to stop here. Now I'm here, now I'm more or less done, because even the deadbolt can climb this, and it can go back here. Yes, and if you go in an angle, it's easier. So the deadbolt in stock form can do it. The Chevy does a little bit hard because of its tiny tires. And this Chevy has an ASX24-RW ESC, so it is super smooth. So that's not the big problem here, because you can really go smooth and go to this position. And now you can go slow here, and now you see the bigger tires would be better. However, the Chevy will do it. Not every time, but I know he can. Come on. Hey, you are on camera, man. Come on. Why do you do this? You are on camera. Come on. I guess it's a problem of the tires mainly. You see here. Come on, Chevy. Why do you do this? He can do it, I know it. I won't stop till it does it, because I also know that this Jeep cannot do it. And here's the problem, I guess. Better tires would solve the problem. Yeah, okay. Not super nice, but he has done it now. What's your problem? Low battery? I don't think so. Okay. The Chevy can do it. And funny thing, the Jeep cannot do it, but the Jeep's better. I make comparison videos on other obstacles, but he's not able to do this here. I tried it probably 100 times so far. He did it. Wow. And now I try to climb. No. It's a problem of the weight distribution in the Jeep. Probably without body he would do it easily. Congratulations. He never was as good as now in this first difficult step. Let's try it again that way. Now he will do it. Now it's not... Electronic is nice and you see he can do it. But to do the first step is super difficult with the Jeep. I guess you want to see the new ASX24 anyway. And that's a totally different story. You don't have to power it up. If I go a little bit with more power here, you see, that's so absolutely awesome. Wow. The Betty is out of the box. Really good. And you can drive extremely slow, and also check this out. Tires are turning and won't stop in that slow RPM. Of course, it's not a brushless. It did it now. Check this out. How cool is this? And of course, if you would... wow, it's so good. Wow. If you would use a brushless motor, an outrunner, this wouldn't be a problem anyway. But you would have, at least with the large Komodos, they would tip over as the Jeep does. don't know if I should show you the Jeep again, but I try to go as smooth as possible, and you see that you can't weight in the front tires will solve this problem, but it's absolutely stunning how the body with this new ESC is ascending and descending. Probably you won't go that slow, of course, but it looks awesome, doesn't it? That's a brushed motor. Hey Betty, will you do it in the slow mode now? Or have I do that step? I have to do the step. Go a little bit back and do it. Awesome. Funny thing, as I mentioned, the Jeep is better than all the other SCX24s in descending because of the weight distribution, and its larger tires, they perform better than the others on slippy river stones. So again, I wanted to show you, and I promised to show you all the maybe for some people negative aspects of the new ASX24 compared to other ESCs. And I show you again the delay if you go from 100% for reverse to 100% forward. So if you want to kill your motor as soon as possible, here we have the deadbolt with stock electronics, the Jeep Wrangler with V2, the new stock electronics. We have the Chevy with the AS12-6RW, the awesome tiny ESC, but with quite a bit of delay. And here we have the Betty with the new ASX24, where delay is as low as possible to get still absolutely awesome driving performance. So check the deadbolt. Do it as often as you can if you want to swap out your motor as often as you can. Here we have the new V2 electronics. It seems, you see, in the deadbolt with the not as good modulation, this seems to be faster even than in the new V2 electronics. This V2 electronics does have much better modulation, but for that not such a punch from 100 to 100%. So probably the motors will not fade out, not have to be swapped out as soon in the new electronics. And now in the Chevy with the AS612, this was the, you see, but only if you go from 100 to 100. If you do a little bit, so if you don't have a digital finger, it will change nearly immediately. And that's what will save your motor, and you will run it much longer than you do with the stock Axial SCX24 electronics. And now the ASX24-Crawler. You see, it's already much faster from forward to, but that's 100% to reverse than the AS12-6. And I do have some thing in here. What's that? Also affects driving performance negatively, but I won't remove it now. But in the SCX24 stock electronics, even in the new V2 electronics, this 100% forward reverse works faster and will kill your motor faster. So now I removed quite a bit of hairs and fibers from the front wheels, which blocked them, so probably the performance would even be better now. Just kidding. from the carpet or whatever. And we come to the end of the video, but I want to show you the performance on 3S also. But first, let's again check this. Come on. Awesome driving performance, slope, speed modulation. I love it. It's so awesome. It's absolutely fantastic how you can control a stock SCX24 motor. And of course, if you pulse it, as in, you can do this with your Deadpool 2, but only if you pulse it, so not with a constant throttle input. So you know this. If you pulse, you can also go slow if you go, but that's not the style of driving what we think of. Smooth throttle response, and that's a different thing. And of course, with better motors or even a better radio, as I do have in my Gravedigger and in my Bouncer, which I drive with my FlySky Noble, the performance will even be better. And now let's check how it does on 3S. I for sure will crimp the red JST plugs, those plugs, to this ESC, but to show it to you in the Betty now, I won't change the ESC. I will simply swap out the battery to a small 3S LiPo. I love those tiny LiPos here in the front position, and take an adapter. So here I have an adapter. Don't ask me where to buy this, because you cannot buy this. Of course, I made it. I crimped it from JST PH 2-pin to red JST, and I will simply put a little bit of Velcro to the front of the battery tray. It's fine that way. How could we place it? That way, front, center, probably perfect. And now on 3S. Initialized without any problems. Body clip, I love them. And now we are on 3S, and you see it's even much faster, but still there is awesome throttle control. Some people asked me if you could use a 3S LiPo with the stock electronics of the SCX24. Well, if you use an ESC with BEC, this doesn't matter. The BEC will always give out, in this case, 5 volts 2 ampere. And no matter if you plug a 2S LiPo or a 3S LiPo to the ESC, if you would use other ESCs which are capable of whatever, 4S, 6S LiPos, still there would only come the voltage out that is the voltage of this BEC, 5 volt, 6 volt, 7.4 volt, whatever. Most of those tiny ESCs do have BECs with 5 volts. But let's check the smoothness. This was not good because I was not good. So come on. I want to go as slow as I can. On 3S. And here you have your, can I do a wheelie here? But we don't want to do wheelies, we want to run as smooth as possible. It's simply awesome. I'm totally excited. The ASX24-Crawler ESC, for me, the by far best ESC you can get actually for a tiny brushed microcrawler. And there's another, maybe negative for some of you. It does have an BC included, a 2 amp BC, really good and strong BC, but it's a 5 volt BC, and maybe some will complain I want high voltage or adjustable BC voltage. No. So the negative aspects: no on-off switch. Some people will complain about the not adjustable drag brake, but in a tiny crawler, the more with warm gears, you wouldn't need a drag brake anyway. It does have drag brake. Some people will maybe complain about the 5 volt BC. Maybe. And yeah, the little bit more delay from full forward to reverse compared to the stock SCX24 V1 electronics and also the V2 electronics. However, think about it, if you really want this, this will kill your motor if you do it too often. I hope I didn't forget any negative aspects. I guess I told you all the positive aspects. The size, perfect position, 2S, 3S, and absolutely fantastic throttle response, throttle control on low speed, on high speed, in forward, in reverse. It's simply awesome in my eyes. That's it for this video. I intended to make a very short video, but I'm not able to make short videos. However, now I will finish this video about the awesome ASX24-Crawler ESC from Modellbauregler.de. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope to see you in the next video. I'll be back.